This is a Western New York Bigfoot Investigation Group podcast. This podcast is for entertainment purposes only. It contains no wisdom, very few facts, or life changing epiphanies, and is only the opinions, hypotheses, and guesses of the podcast host. If anything of value is learned, it is by mere chance alone. Don't blame me if you suddenly think about something or anything in a way you hadn't thought about it before.
Telling me to know my place doesn't really help at all. Really only sets the pace for all outrage war. It be driving me insane, saying I should go back home. But once I home, my life keeps running out of steam. I feel so minuscule. Is this all worth the shame? I'm shaking from the ridicule.
All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Satch Squatch Random Live, number 52. All right. How's everybody doing? You know me. I'm Joe. Got a couple of interesting people on with me tonight. I'm going to be joined by Steve Kulls. I saw him backstage. He might be having a little bit of problem uh, with his technology there. But in the meantime, I do have, of course, my good friend and sometimes co-host of this show, Leon.
Hi.
What the hell?
Yeah, grasshopper. Too bad, eh? I'm not number 3 anymore, mister. You're muted, Joe. You're still muted. At least chat, can you hear Joe? Chat, can you hear us? I guess is a better question. Muted. Yeah, Uncle Bone says muted. Here. You're on now.
Am I here? Okay.
I hear you.
Everybody hears me. Okay.
I'm not sure if everyone hears. No Joe. They say no Joe, no Joe. Can you hear Joe now?
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Here, Leon, fine. Audio. Yeah, it should be. Everything's.
Oh, nice phone. Nice phone ring.
So you can hear that.
I can hear that. Yeah, I'm not sure. I think chat can hear you now. You guys
You can hear me.
I can hear you, Joe.
Chat, yes, we hear you both.
Okay.
Uncle Bone says he hears us both. Okay.
Thank you, Uncle Bone.
So cool. Wow. We've just craziness here. Well, while we're waiting here, let us see. We're going to go and we're going to say hello to everybody who's decided to join us. We got Uncle Bones, as we saw. Howling Underdog Films is with us. Grasshopper. Bigfoot Okinawa. Oh, wait, there you are. Cindy Finn. Hi, Cindy. Harry Man Hooks and Hoodwinks. Hello, Nikki. Nikki, stick around, just like I said. Sandra Piper. Hello, Sandra. How you doing? Good to see you. Angel Nolan. Nice to see you. Joe Dryden, welcome back, sir. Old lady in the woods. All right, you came back. Good. Glad to see you. Danny Staten. Hello. Um, who else we got up in here? Laura Fields. Hello, Laura. Welcome back. Former everything. Hello. Um, do 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 do. I think we got Brian McMahon. There he is. Hey, Brian. How's it going? John Ayers is here. Brent from the Tall Ones. Woohoo. He's here. Michael Haywood. Hello, Mr. Haywood. The Dinosaur Hunter is in the chat. Um, and I think that's everybody so far. All right. Yeah, that's cool. So hopefully, what the hell? Sorry, folks. I don't know what the hell is. Oh, it was Steve. He's having technical difficulties with sound. Try to be on shortly. Okay, well that's cool. That's cool. Well, Leon, just to start out with a little something, and you just mentioned it to me backstage. Um, so people have been seeing some posts, uh, at least the ones, that are access to my personal page. I may have posted some on the Bigfoot page too, but we have a little campaign going on, and it's these little guys right here, and it says on the back, "You've been ducked." And this is a thing that started back in July 4th of 2020, uh, as I understand it, by um, Allison Parliament, who was a Jeep enthusiast. Now, I wasn't clear whether she actually worked for Jeep or not, but Jeep's parent company, um, which I forget the name of it right, of Stellantis, that's what it's called. They said that this is a global phenomenon, and it's been gaining momentum now. Originally, what she was a Jeep enthusiast, and it started with Wrangler drivers, people that drove Jeep Wranglers. And she put a duck on there with a little smiley little duck and a little happy thing, you know, and so it's been gaining momentum. Now Jeep drivers are ducking each other with these little ducks. You might come out to your Jeep and find a little duck, and they've got like several different kinds of ducks. Now I have traditional little quacky ducks. They look like little bathtub ducks. But they do have ducks that some ducks have horns. Um, I received a duck the other day, last week or the week before, that had a mane and lion ears. It was a lion duck.
Mm.
Um, and they have several. I saw one. If I got it, I would pour gasoline on it and I would burn it because I think it carries a curse with it. It was the Donald duck. It's a Trump duck. Yeah.
Oh,
So somebody got left a Trump duck, and I would have been like, no, it's cursed. But yeah, so there's all kinds of these ducks, and all you do is you put them on, you leave them on the mirror or on the footboard somewhere where they can see the duck and find it, and hopefully it brings a little smile to their face and knows that there's another Jeep driver out there, that's trying to brighten their day. So it's pretty fun. It's fun for me to do while I'm driving around because it's just something else to do while I'm driving around delivery, and I see a Jeep and sneak up on it because I try to leave it anonymously. But yeah, so it's fun. I've only been ducked twice since I've owned my Jeep, but that's okay. So, oh,
I got I got
hang
ducked,
on.
I got ducked once for my
Oh
Jeep,
yeah,
but I didn't know about the duck thing, so I think I threw the duck
yeah.
in one of my water ponds over here.
Well, there you go. I
I,
mean, it doesn't matter what you do with the duck afterwards. Hopefully, you don't throw it away. Hopefully, you
yeah.
take it, in stride and in good cheer. And lots of people keep the duck. Now, originally, the first duck that I ever had was given to me when I went to the Whitehall Festival a couple of years ago. First one I ever got to, and I went out to my Jeep and I found this duck, and it was being passed around for St. Jude's, something to do with St. Jude's Children's Hospital, and it said to scan it and then pass it on and see how far the duck traveled around the country. And so I did that. And I didn't receive my other duck until just recently. But now it's like some people keep the ducks, some pass them on. Some of them now have gotten to the point to where they keep the ducks that they're given, but they buy other ducks to pass out and give away to other people, other Jeepers. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
So do you know the history between why a duck? Like why a duck?
I don't know why she's just a duck, because it's just a funny little duck. And she decided that would be a way to spread smiles, and a little bit of joy in your life. Come out and find a little duck on your Jeep. Uh-oh, I think I hear him.
So it was tall, hairy, and smelly. Was it a Sasquatch or a hoax? Who you gonna call? Steve Kulls, Squatch Detective.
There he is.
Hey, what's up?
The Squatch Detective.
Hey, what's up, Leon?
Nothing. I'm just on my phone like Joe's been on his phone. I keep getting these calls. Go ahead. Hey, Steve. Good to see you. Yeah. So just want to make sure you weren't talking to the professor there, because I'm getting old. I can't see what I'm looking at anymore.
No, so how come half the Canadians in the Yukon are
talking like this because of all the helium in the balloons?
Yeah, well, thank goodness, we didn't need American jets. We just used their bone and arrows up here to knock them down there. We didn't need technology. I mean, that type of technology advance. We just laughed at them.
Yeah,
we were very polite.
It's a balloon. Yeah, it's a balloon. You could probably use a slingshot, couldn't you?
Yeah. Well, I mean, they weren't slingshot. They weren't balloons. They were other things. They kept saying the other objects. We have different objects.
Oh, the unidentified ones.
Yes. Yeah. Well, whatever they are.
Yeah. So yeah, dinosaur hunter. Yeah. Well, now dinosaur hunter says I'm still trying to figure out what the purpose of the ducks are for the Jeeps and the Broncos. A lot of Broncos in my area have plastic ducks on the dash too. Yeah, that's because the Bronco, now I've seen a few of them. Broncos
be careful,
looks a
Joe.
lot like a Jeep. And I was like, what? It does. It looks a lot like a Jeep. And I'm like, if you water it, it might grow up to be a real Jeep. But no, so people are starting. I've seen that too. Some people, Jeep owners are starting to allow and even putting ducks on Broncos now, the new ones. So well, you know what? If they need a smile and they like a duck, that's great. They can join in fine. Used to be pretty snooty, man. It used to be only Wrangler drivers, but now Jeeps are all inclusive. We're just ducking everybody, man. Grand Cherokees, 4x4, whatever Jeep it is, doesn't matter. You get a duck. So
maybe we should do that as Bigfoot.
But yeah. So anyway,
if we come across a Sasquatch sticker on a car, we should stick a little Sasquatch on there, and then have your name, Western.
Yeah, name. I thought about that the other day, Leon. The exact same thing. I was like, if I could actually, since my Jeep, is the official Bigfoot search vehicle, I thought to myself, man, if I could find like little Sasquatch, rubber Sasquatch, like the ducks, little figurines, I could start doing that instead of the ducks. Just leave a little Sasquatch on there.
Yes, let us start the future.
Yeah. Start squatching vehicles instead of
add anything
ducking vehicles.
No, he's in deep thought.
Then you could add a little tag that says you've been squatched.
There you go. There you go.
Instead of you've been ducked, you've been squatched. Yeah. So, but speaking of Squatch, it leads right into this. Hence the show about BF knowledge, Bigfoot knowledge. Show it or you don't know it. And Steve did a show last night. I liked your show, Steve.
Yep.
Want to count a good another expose of some bullshit that people like to put out there. And you're doing a fabulous job of that. And but on top of those, the bullshit videos and stuff like that people try to pass off. We are always talking about the narratives. Oh, all these people, they know so much about Sasquatch. They know all this stuff about Sasquatch. And I'm of the mind that if you can't show it, you don't know it. And I actually got that from a particular person, and it applies to this phenomenon as well. Now, the fellow's name is Aaron Raw. The man knows more about evolution than I'll probably ever learn in my entire lifetime, and etc. He's very scientific, and he deals a lot with you know with evolution and etc. And also with it's the atheist versus apologist, or creationists. Basically, it's creationists. But he has a saying that is basically in basic science. Period. If you can't show that it's true, then you can't call it truth. Knowledge is similar to truth in that belief. If you can't demonstrate your knowledge to any degree at all by any means whatsoever, then you don't actually know what you think you do, no matter how convinced of it you are. Without evidentiary support, then it is only an empty assertion unworthy of serious consideration. And there is a lot of it out there. Now, it's one thing to be a serious researcher or investigator, such as yourself, who, Steve, I have never, ever heard you ever go, this is a fact. Now, you've written a lot about Bigfoot, you've wrote a couple of books, but you've never stated anything in there as absolute fact. You have gone by, and there's no problem with that. Hypotheses are fine as long as you admit that they're a hypothesis, and you go by, okay, if it's a primate, well, let's compare it and see if it might behave like some of these. But these are all ifs and maybes, and we understand that. We have yet to prove those things, and maybe we can, maybe we can't. If we can't prove some of them, then we got to throw them out. But we've got a bunch of people out there that, oh, well, Bigfoot does this, Bigfoot does that. Bigfoot lives in all these groups. Bigfoot has centuries that they stick out and blah, 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 and this and that. And yet, I have yet to see any kind of evidentiary stuff that shows any of that to be true. Not a bit of it. And so, therefore, things like, unless you can show me that Bigfoot is making these things out there, if you can't prove that, you can't show it, then you don't know it. You otherwise, it's either something weird that happened by natural causes or bushcrafters, or it could be the native population, some kind of ceremonial thing or whatever. That's where you're going, because if you can't prove that, then you don't know it. You know, um, Bigfoot. What's the other one? There's one that everybody wants to say all the time about uh, something to do. Oh, what is it? Well, even on the other side, okay. Now, it has been a hypothesis of somebody, and it's somebody we all know. I think it's maybe part of Dr. Meldrum's hypothesis. He's not saying that this is the way it is, I don't want to put words in his mouth, so maybe but I thought he was the one. The males are solitary, and then they go around and they have females, and when it's mating time, blah blah blah. That's a hypothesis, which may or may not be true. Yet you have people out there that I've heard saying that is a fact. That's what Bigfoot does. That's how Bigfoot lives. Then the other ones, oh, they live in big families. They have all this, there's clan living in my backyard, and they borrow garlic from me, and
Well,
and it's
I
like,
think Dr.
you know
Meldrum
what?
is.
Yeah, unless you can show me the evidence of that, it's not evidence at all, and you don't know that.
Well,
Even if you
I would,
do, I mean,
I would say certain things you have to weigh certain things. What hypothesis bears more reality than another? For example, I know Dr. Meldrum predicated that with, we would expect Bigfoot to be a primate, in which case the primates would be solitary, and we would expect them to be solitary and stuff like that. Meldrum never really speaks in absolutes about anything.
no.
So that you can be rest assured. And I'm the same way, and that's how I developed my hypotheses, was from stuff that was science based, and that wasn't a stretch more than one click up. So like infrasound and like infrasound versus bioluminescence, that argument. Infrasound is only one click up from what a mammal can do, or a primate can do, because other mammals can do it. But bioluminescence is something no mammals can do. So that's why I kind of discredit the bioluminescence of the eyes,
Right.
and everything like
Right.
that. So it's very easy to get caught up in excitement, and there is another fine line too. You have a lot of people out there that want to be important, that have the psychological need to put themselves on top of everybody else, or there's some sort of challenge. So every time they go out there, if they're finding nothing, oh, well, that's got to be Sasquatch. In fact, I saw a post yesterday, and here's this guy posting these logs all lined up, and it's obviously bushcraft. And he's saying, "Well, I don't know what other animal could be strong enough to put those up there except Sasquatch." Okay, no tracks. No, we don't even know if there's sighting reports. There's no historical data around the area. How can you say that? The leap,
Right.
it's just a leap of faith. And even as an investigator, I, once in a while you have to take a leap of faith, but there's times to do that and times not to.
Yeah.
For
And
example,
mostly you don't act on faith, right? I mean, for the most part, though, you act upon what facts you can gather, and you go where
let
they
me
take
let me
you,
let
right?
me explain to you. An investigator doesn't call it faith.
Right.
They call it gut instinct. All right. For example, you have a business that got robbed. You show up there and there's no signs of forcible entry. They knew exactly where the safe was. They right? What's your immediate thoughts? It's an inside job, right? That's a gut feeling.
Right.
Similar to that, but you got to have the right corroboration to go with that. I'll give you a good example on a Bigfoot case. 2 sightings within 15, 20 minutes of one another by 5 different individuals. Okay. The last time it was seen, it was over off the side of a trail. I go to the trail where it was seen last, and I look up and I find all these tree breaks at the 5'10", 6-foot level, and I track it down to the ground. Were those tree breaks caused by what they had seen or a Sasquatch? Likely, yes. That's my gut instinct, and that is my using my expertise to say this is where it was. This is where it would have. You could see the brush, so you're having evidence to suggest that something walked through there that was rather large. Well, it would make sense because they had seen it there. So that is something that's corroborative, but makes sense, logical sense. Finding a bunch of sticks,
Right. And I'll agree with Yeah, I agree with you that something like that is it is something that's worth making you take a step further in the investigation, right? I'm not going to say that, even then, I mean, I don't even think you would. Even then, seeing that, and then along with what they said they saw, you're still not standing there going, "Oh, definitely this is it. This is it." But you're saying this could be it, so let me go a few steps further and see what else I can find that backs up everything that I'm actually seeing here. But there are too many people out there, man, that don't do that at all. They just, it's like they make up stuff, the narratives, man. And those are bugging me just as much. I don't care about the videos anymore. Look, I don't need anybody to prove the existence of Sasquatch to me. Okay. I know that they exist. I know that I ran into something out in the woods that I could only describe as a Sasquatch, as a Bigfoot. So I don't need anybody to prove it to me. So I don't really need the videos and this and that because I know what one looks like. So I don't need all those people to show me these videos. Oh, is this a Sasquatch? This is a Sasquatch. Oh, these. I don't need that. What I want, show me how you know all this stuff. Show me how you know that, oh, Bigfoots are humans now. Oh, they're Homo sapiens. That's what some people swear. Uh, how do you know that? How do you know that? I saw one 40 feet away and it didn't look human to me. It looked a cross, maybe, It allowed me to form a hypothesis of what maybe it is, but I don't know that for sure, nor will I ever state that as a fact until I come up with the evidence to say, holy shit, my hypothesis was right. I'm not going to do that. But everybody out there, these people that say it's well, and it's the same ones that are always putting out the videos that will make up these grand narratives. I need them to don't just show me how you got this knowledge. How are you so knowledgeable in Bigfoot?
Well, there was this DNA study that came out a few years ago that said it was human.
Right, right. And it's like, how do you, for example, I saw this and I don't even remember what it was on, but who, but it was something I saw on YouTube of researchers. I can't remember the guy's name. He had a bunch of people sitting around a campfire, and there's this one old guy in there. Um, and he was just, everything wasn't like, well, maybe it was, this is what it is. And they are the descendants of Gigantopithecus. There's 5 different species of them. They, blah, blah, blah. I mean, and stating everything as fact. And I'm like, okay, where's your evidence that anything that you're spewing out of your mouth is even true? I mean, anybody listening to this is like, okay, first of all, you're just glomming on to the hypothesis that one scientist put forward, saying that maybe it's something that could be descended from Gigantopithecus because Gigantopithecus is the right size at the right place at the right time. But in no way does he say ever that this is what Bigfoot must be. But so this guy got that from there. Then the 5 species things, I guess that's something to do with the various descriptions of Bigfoot, right? Now, somebody else did a podcast the other night, and it was on the Untold Radio Network. They put out something about the many faces of Bigfoot. And I don't know. My personal opinion is that I think some of those had to have just been artist renditions of what they may think that it. I don't think it was from eyewitnesses describing all of them. Maybe some of them, yeah. But I thought if every single one of these is supposed to be Bigfoot, then Bigfoot's not freaking real, and whatever I saw out in the freaking woods isn't real either.
Well, Well,
because there were very few of them that looked like they could even be the same thing. You know,
let me hop into that real quick. Let me hop into that. That's another area of kind of my expertise is talking to witnesses, and witnesses will see different things. Witnesses will describe things.
Oh,
differently.
absolutely.
And then you have to take that to the artist who interprets that. And two artists can have completely different interpretations of what a person is saying. So not only do you have the person that's seeing this thing for, seconds, but now they're trying to interpret that in their mind. And now they're taking that interpretation and trying to commit that to language. And then they're trying to take that language and commit it to somebody that's trying to draw it. And then that person has to interpret that and then interpret it on a piece of paper. So that's how things can get so messed up. Like I say, you can have a bank robber walk out of a bank. 5 different witnesses will describe him each differently. But there is one thing they all have in common. The person's a human being.
Right.
So,
right.
So they saw, if they've said, hey, listen, this is what it is, and this is what I saw. They saw something that looks like a Sasquatch. The minutia of the fine detail of it, I think, is just getting blown way over proportion.
Yeah.
Because
I saw some of those. I saw some of those pictures, those renditions. I hesitate to call them pictures, drawings. They were drawings of Bigfoot, faces of Bigfoot.
Sketches.
And some of them, I'm like, if that's what the person described, then they basically, what they're describing is they saw a bipedal gorilla, because it's exactly what the damn thing looked like. I was like, that looks like a gorilla. What I looked at did not look like a gorilla. You couldn't even say that, that gorilla drawing and what I saw was even related or the same species, but it's like, I'm losing my train of thought here on the faces. It happens.
Train
happens.
Train wreck of thought.
Because it all starts going all at once, man. But it's like, the species thing, the 5 different species. And I'm like, look, I understand variation in species, just like we were just talking. Human beings. I don't look like Steve. Steve doesn't look like me. We don't look like Leon. Leon doesn't look like us. But you can look at all 3 of us and see that all 3 of us are Homo sapiens. We're all human beings.
Maybe.
Now,
it could be.
Okay. Right. And I understand that it even in primates, there is some degree of that also, although to a lesser degree, because I have seen a couple of different gorillas, 2 different gorillas that looked remarkably almost alike, like they could have been twins, right? Even though they weren't. But even gorillas, they do have variants in faces. Chimpanzees too. Chimpanzees are the closest to us, of course. So they have a little more variation in their appearance, right? So naturally, yes, I think Bigfoot would have that, of course. But the 5 different species thing, show me the knowledge. Show me how you got to that knowledge. There's 5 different species. Well, what are they? What 5 species are they? And then what are they going to say? Well, then they start. I've heard people go, well, there's Bigfoot, the northern Bigfoot. There's the skunk ape. That's the different species. There's the ones in, I mean, it's like, okay.
And then there's the
Show me
ones
your
that look like a
knowledge,
dog
man. Then there's the ones that look like baboons. I mean, come on, folks.
Hey, who you calling a baboon?
It's all narrative, man. And I'm just like, I'm not having it anymore, man. I'm sorry if that makes people mad. If I lose people that watch me, I'm not doing it no more, man. If you're going to come around with your narrative and I know this about Bigfoot, I know that about Bigfoot, well, then you need to show me, man. Because if you're not showing me any interest, and all you're doing is telling me bullshit.
Well, the other
you're
thing
just
about
telling me whatever you're making up.
Yeah. The other thing too is, okay, if you have 5 species, the guy's saying, okay, I know that there's 5 species of Sasquatch. Well, that means that you know what location, area, region that these 5 different species are coming out of, because you have to know the environment of the 5 species. So there's a variety of species of deer out there, and you can usually find their environment by understanding that you understand what type of species they are. So the hubris or the arrogance of somebody to say there's 5 species of Sasquatch and not be able to provide you with any information about, oh, is this the lowland Michigan Sasquatch species? Is this the Albanian, Czechoslovakian, Bulgarian Sasquatch Yeti species? I mean, it's just
Yeah.
you're right. It can easily drive you mad. But hey, Joe, you might want to get rid of
And
that
this is
banner at the bottom of the page here.
the what? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, up there. I want to see Steve's
Didn't even
there.
realize that was. I didn't even realize that was
I
set
was
up
trying to
that
send him a
quickly
back
there.
messages in the background. It's like you might want to take that so we can see Steve's
But
glorious face.
this thing, this is just touching upon the natural things, right? We're not even talking about the narratives of the supernatural woo side of Bigfoot, which nobody can prove to me or show me evidence that any of that is even true at all. Fine, you've got your narrative, or you've got your well, it happened, I experienced it. Okay, fine. But yours is no better than mine. My experience is just that. I've got no proof of it. And neither do you. Now, until you can show me evidence, I I can't I can't believe any of that stuff, man. And this is but I mean, so this is like maddening, man. I mean, because even on the natural side, people that aren't into the woo and they don't describe anything woo about them, but they know all about the species, that there's 5 different ones and this and that, and this is how they behave, this is how they breed, this is their breeding cycle, this is how many children they have, etc. You know, it's it's like, where did you come up with this knowledge? Where's your evidence? Do you have some video of all this? Do you
I
have
imagined it. I
anything that
imagined it.
shows me that what you're saying is true, man?
Well,
And
my
they need to
favorite,
start, you know what? People need to start, those people, they need to start studying some anthropology. They need to study some science and start using their start learning terminology and using it correctly if they want to sound like they have something valid worth, passing on. I mean, 5 different species. I bet they don't even know what a subspecies is, and I bet that's what they really mean is that, oh, there's 5 subspecies of Bigfoot, but they don't say that. There's 5 different species. Do you know what a species is? Do you know what a subspecies is? Do you know how species evolve? Do you know anything about evolution? Right?
well, we
But they
haven't mentioned
don't.
we haven't mentioned the magic word here, Joe, and that's dimorphism. Is if they're saying they're
Excuse me?
primates, dimorphism, and that's the
Right.
ability of a creature of the same species to have different sizes, shapes, looks to them, like
Right.
human
Because,
beings. We
right.
are very
And with
dimorphic.
many
We have
primates,
right.
right. With many primate species, there is like a sexual dimorphism. There is between human beings. Generally, women tend to be smaller than men. A lot of the primate species are like that. Gorillas, um, a lot of our ancient ancestors, some of the other human species, the Homo erectus and Heidelbergensis and all that, there was, the sexual dimorphism in between them, you know. Um, Ask any of these people that know all this stuff about Bigfoot and ask them about sexual dimorphism and see if they know what you're talking about.
No. Well, they're going to fabricate it. Like they're going to talk
Like
about
my ex mother-in-law, all her nieces used to call her Aunt Sassy because she was so big. She was so big, and then she, went through 6 razors a day just to shave her legs.
it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm up for a good story just as well as the next guy. But if you're going to tell me these things like seriously and as fact and all this other stuff, then You need to come with what I said, like the other night, man. I said, whenever you do something and you make a statement about something, especially if it has to do with hoaxing or anything like that, you always have the receipts, man. You know? And so these people, with all their freaking Bigfoot knowledge, they need to start coming with receipts, man. Otherwise, we're all going to be out here. At least I'm going to be out here going, bullshit.
Yeah. Well, and it goes to Steve's show the other night too. There's this one site in BC that are always posting. It's almost been like clockwork. They post these videos of Sasquatch on Thursday night or Friday night, and they always say, "What do you guys think?" You know, oh my God, oh that's just. And I'm looking at these things, and then it's like clockwork. Where Steve, I think you move your head there, Steve. I think you might be froze up. But okay, good. But within the weekend, Steve will do exactly the same photo, and that one that he did with the one from Odyssey, that was up. That was up on Friday, and I'm just thinking, oh my God, these people just don't. They keep posting this stuff, like Nikki talked about. It just recycles itself, you know, and everyone's so hyped on wanting it to be so badly. It's got to be so badly, you know, like. There's a great theorem that are mathematical code. It's called Bayes' theorem. Everyone should learn about what is Bayes' theorem. Bayes' theorem is how do you find out statistically whether something has the odds of being real compared to not being real. And it looks really complicated. It's about a formula about this long, you know, but once you understand it, it's really quite simple as far as looking at data to see the percentage of whatever you're thinking it is, you know, how can you figure that out? And I would encourage everybody, it's BAYERNES, I believe, theorem, and just check out the formula and see whether or not that formula was classified top secret during the Second World War because the people who are using it were the Allies, and they would use it for percentage figuring out whether or not what to strike, what not to strike, and a whole bunch of other stuff. And that theorem is used in historical research, scientific research. It's the same one you can use across the plane, and it really helps you understand the difference between when you're doing statistics. I mean, what are this? Okay, these balloons, these round white things, one balloon and three other solid things. We're not sure what they are. We're not going to tell you. They look like a TikTok, though. So you got the UFO where people are crazy on one side. You've got the people in the middle that don't know what's going on, so they're filling in the blank with their apathy. You know, it means all this other kind of stuff. Then you're getting videos now that are pictures now where they're starting to say, and I think it's clickbait more likely, I'm not sure, but China actually uses balloons with a basket underneath that holds 6 what are those really fast missiles? What are they called? Can't remember. Supersonic missiles with warheads on them.
Hypersonic.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, hypersonic.
And
so I noticed that's come online lately. And they show a picture of it. It's a balloon, and it's got this thing. And the reason for it, it's got 6 chutes in it. You can throw 6. So right when we were growing up, it was, I think the bomb raids for nuclear under your desk at school thing was 47 minutes you had or something like that, before it came over and blew you up. Hypersonic, if they launch it from Russia, I think it takes 7 minutes. So you're already cut down to zip. But if you could float it across a country and drop one of those things, you would wipe out the White House, the Pentagon in seconds. Imagine that. And if those were used, so you have all these people trying to figure out, what are the odds of this? Not to mention, they're always going from the west to the east. Why would that be? Well, it could be the streams, the air streams. If you follow the pattern, it's exactly the pattern of the streams. Japan used to use balloons to fly over to Canada during North America in the Second World War because they were trying to burn up. Some of the forest didn't work out very well for them, but the other strategy plan they were the #1 producers for chemical weapons, and they thought if they could drop balloons over there, it's a perfect hole in the theory. Remember, trillions of dollars a year have been put towards the U.S. military, and they missed this real center piece of information in regards to their radar. It might look like a simple balloon, but boy, if you were the Chinese or the Russians, you realize, geez, they have a blind spot here on the radar. We don't need stealth phones. We just need the balloon. We could just drop some stuff in there. They're not going to pick it up at all. This is all speculation, like we were talking about. So you can see even that stuff I've been just shared. Whoever's watching, could their brain could just grab it and just start taking whatever angle they want to, and that's kind of what you're seeing out here. It's just the way the brain works. Unfortunately, the gullibility of not knowing how to vet your own data to find out whether or not you're perceiving things correctly. Percentage-wise, what are the odds it would be that? What are the odds that 5 different well, what are those other ones where they have the pictures of all the species? This are like 15 different Sasquatches or whatever. You ever see those pictures, Joe? Hello?
Which ones?
Yeah, everyone's froze up on my window.
No,
you're talking about the 5 different types of Sasquatch.
Oh, the guy saying there's.
Yeah, well, there's other ones where they show pictures of all the different Sasquatches. There's like 15 to 20 of them on the page, and I'm thinking, how do you know this? Well,
I've seen that. Yeah,
you know what I mean. So again, somebody's sketching it. I don't know if I should share this because it might be in trouble, but who cares? I remember watching somebody sketching somebody else's testimony of what a Sasquatch looks like, and I'm into art, so I draw, sculpt, all that kind of stuff. I was watching the guy as he was drawing it, and the guy who was drawing it was drawing the guy who was telling the story of the guy as a Sasquatch. That's what it looked like to me. I thought, that's so-and-so. He just has the facial stuff. I thought, yeah. I didn't believe this guy was telling the truth anyways. So I just thought, if I could just get people to see what I see sometimes when I'm looking at stuff, you guys will all be laughing, going, that's that guy that's actually talking. Yeah, that's the point. Because in art, if you draw, if you're a painter, you know this information, is that whether a person does a portrait of somebody else, the painter's portrait of himself will be in that picture as well. And that's how you can tell who's painting it, who's painting. I don't know if you guys are aware of that. Subconsciously, the person who actually paints a portrait will actually paint himself as that portrait picture, what you're looking for. But it's not from you would just say, that's Leon's picture portrait. But if I was the painter of it, I could see myself in the painting.
Leon, what's it say on your hat?
It doesn't say anything. It's a duck. Quack! That's why I want to do the duck Jeep challenge. See, look. It's outdoor camera. It's their symbol for the what is it? Don't pollute the waters. Quit killing everything. Come on, you stupid humans, do something with your lives. Go out fishing with your son.
I thought it had something to do with Ducks Unlimited.
No,
what is
that,
Steve?
It's actually a Ducks Unlimited hat.
Flag.
It's an official Ducks Unlimited
hat,
by the way. It's not just your cheesy one. It was given to me by a person who takes care of my ducks.
Steve froze up a little.
If I can't tell you, no, I think he's cutting up like herbs, like Nikki was doing on her show the other night. It's nice as a Canadian to see you Americans all with your heads down on aluminum foil, using scissors, hearing scissors, since you're not showing us that you're doing something illegal. Anyways.
We're all interested.
Oh, what I'm doing.
Yeah, what are you doing?
I'm doing my own sketch of Leon.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Oh, okay.
That's awesome. Buddy.
Awesome. There he is.
That's a good one. Yeah. You should take a picture of that, send that to me so I can put it up on one of my videos. He thinks of me. I'm a hairy Sasquatch.
Perfect.
Ducks Unlimited guy. Crazy.
Yeah.
That's funny,
for the people in chat, look, I'm not sitting here saying, look, if you believe, even if you haven't seen a Bigfoot, okay, yourself, but for whatever reason, you've listened to enough people and you take what they're saying as the truth, that's fine. You believe in Bigfoot, that's fine. Absolutely. Saying that you shouldn't.
Your mic went out and now it's back.
Oh, did it? Okay.
Yeah, you're back now.
I'm not saying that you that you
can
shouldn't.
You beat the squirrels a little bit in your modem to go around a little faster because your signal's kind of.
I don't know. Maybe I need to. I might need to feed them. But yeah, I'm not saying that you shouldn't believe that. But these people that you're watching for for whatever information that they may have about Bigfoot because you're interested in it. You need to start asking these people when they start all this stuff, just because, and it's fine. You can believe, yes, Bigfoot's real. They're out there. But all these people saying all this stuff about them, you should be like going, okay, how did you get this knowledge? You should be challenging these people, challenging them. Find out how they got all this damn knowledge that they don't seem to show any evidence for, though. They don't show how they got that knowledge. They don't show what kind of investigation went in to receive this kind of knowledge that they seem to think that they have about Bigfoot. You guys should be asking these questions, you know. You can question me all day about Bigfoot coming out.
Yes, it's pretty bad. I think somebody, one of those balloons have gotten into his house. Oh, Joe, you totally froze up, man.
Absolute.
I don't think you can hear us.
I think I'm losing.
No,
There's
you're going.
there we go. That's buffering. It was buffering.
So
Yeah.
Joe, what I don't think you're.
Yeah. So you guys should be.
Go ahead, Steve.
Go ahead.
He's having a little technical issue.
Yeah.
I don't think that you have a problem as big as you think. I mean, if somebody says, "Hey, I believe that a Sasquatch does this, that, the other thing, and these are the reasons why," that's perfectly okay. It's the people that say, "Well, Bigfoot does this," and they try to preach down and talk down to people.
Yeah.
It's not so much the people that believe in certain things.
Absolutely.
It's the people that talk down. I want that message to be conveyed that way. That you're not knocking people if they believe a Bigfoot does a certain thing, because everybody's entitled to their beliefs.
Yeah, and those people who receive it, they receive it as not as they receive it's a lecture, but they don't receive it as a lecture. They view it as confidence. The guy's confident. So if you're sucking into that, so it tells us two things: two pieces of data: the person who does it, and also the receiver. Why would people do that? Those type of people, I can tell exactly what kind of family they came out of. They didn't come out of a discussional family. They came out of an accusational family, finger pointing all the time, name calling, chronically saying negative, telling you the way it is. And that's why your receiver dish emotionally is interpreting that as confidence. It's not confidence. You're being somebody's trying to control you. That's what they're trying to do. And then what they got to say, like you said, you just ask a basic basic question. You know, what is the center part? Can you please, for the love of God, tell all of us? How do you know? Teach us. Teach us. That's why we want you to tell us, is to teach us. Not because we're mad or we're trying to hoax you. We just want the important data. You know, how do we find them? Besides, do you want to know what you're looking at or don't you? Like, and that's the thing is that the whole system, and I'm so glad of what everyone's doing. And I don't care who it is, but from what I'm seeing, because I'm not seeing this whole thing, this whole trip I've been on at all, like most people. I see there's a system. Everything's a system. I collect all the data. I check all your channels. I thumbs up all of your channels so that your algorithm keeps going. Because you guys are who I would want to promote, because you're asking the right questions. We need that next phase, though, for, like you're saying, Joe, about asking people in the chat, do your stuff. Don't be afraid of knowing what you're knowing, because you got 10 people sitting there saying, well, this is this and this and this is that. And you walk in there and you say that, and there's people in that group going, I'm not too sure about this. And you walk in and explain exactly what it is. It's a porcupine. It's not a Sasquatch.
Well,
I was going crazy because he's saying I should believe, because he's got this certainty tone to him, that, you know, I should believe what he says I should see, instead of what I'm seeing is a porcupine climbing up a 10-foot apple tree with an 8-foot Sasquatch, you know, like.
But also, I would remind people too, if you're going to challenge them, do it with decorum. Don't sit there and because there's a lot of people that say, well, how can you believe that? Blah, blah, you know, hold on. You know, there's nothing wrong with being civil, going, well, can you please tell me how you came to that assertion, or, you know, how you came to that belief? Well, I'm curious.
Absolutely. And that's what I'm getting at, is that, you know, it's fine to have your ideas. I have my ideas. I think that these things, I believe that, okay, Joe, what do you think Bigfoot is? Well, first and foremost, I have to say I don't know, but what I think it could be from just direct observation, we've heard this before, it's somewhere along the lines of a common ancestor that we had. Now, that's my idea, from what I've seen. That's all I know. Do I know that to be true or a fact? No, I don't. That would be for me to find a damn skull of one of these things and compare it to some of the other fossil evidence of other hominins that have been found and identified. And it's fine if you can tell me, okay, well, Bigfoot does. Okay, here's an example. Bigfoot builds structures. Bigfoot does that. Okay, why do you believe that? Tell me, why do you believe that? And can you show me the truth of that? Why do you believe that? Show me the truth of it. Bigfoot
Yeah,
has
you might
has
add a third question at the beginning of that,
had
which is
what's
where did you hear that from? Where did you hear that? And then ask them, how do you know that? To see whether or not they've just
right.
heard it, because it's more likely
No.
they're going to start fabricating once you start the second question or the first question you had. But if you start off with that question, then you're already helping their brain realize that, oh, you're taking them down a trip, a good trip though, because you care. You care about what's going on. It's not about. It's really tough though, because it's a lot of people would be doing that if it was represented online. How to do it? Steve's one of the few channels that you actually see him out on site. He'll do shows on site and stuff like that. You have these other shows that show stuff on site, but Steve's trying to educate you. He's got kind of a personality wanting to teach, right? And so when you watch that in his videos, you can see that in everything he does, whether he's outside doing stuff, looking for Sasquatch, or here, or humoring us with these other videos he's been working on. And that's what we want to move towards. That's the maturity side of it. We've got to eventually do a shift with regards to the atmosphere we are talking about, so that people can get motivated to do what we need them to do to help us, right? And the problem is it's just so outgunned online here, and because there is a lot of drinking of the Kool-Aid. We all know it because we all bought it in some form. At least I did, for sure, and I know other people did too. But we want to move it forward. This whole idea. But again, it's nice to watch you guys in your channels objectively, because I'm back here looking at the system down here, all your channels and what you're doing and how you're doing it, why you're doing it, your styles of personalities, and how that can all fit together to help the cause. None of us should be doing other people's channels. We should be doing what we're doing, because then it's like I can watch 5 different channels. Sometimes I get frustrated because there's 3 of you on at the same time, but at least I got that option to have good people or good channels. God, imagine watching think of the top 3 losers, they are, because they're hoaxers online. Imagine watching them 3 hours a week or a night or whatever like that. The same way people watch us, the way we're all on chats always here.
My brain would be fried.
Sorry?
My brain would be fried.
Yeah, well, totally. And that's what's happening is we're getting so complacent. It's becoming a bit cynical. You can hear it in our tones. We don't have much patience for each other. And the idea of having to be what we need to be is a group of us have to show people, to remind us why we're supposed to be the way we're doing it. It's easy to be, slash other people and talk about other people, but you wouldn't want to be scammed by a scammer. Look up the top 5 scam on YouTube channels on YouTube today. And you'll
Leon, you just gave me a great idea for a video.
Good.
I gotta write it down.
Good. Imagine being scammed by, because you're interested in a topic, and the topic is knitting. So you go online and you're learning about knitting, and who could hoax knitting? Really? Who could hoax knitting? So you're hoaxing, and I'm going to talk about stitching. I know nothing about knitting, by the way, so no one yell at me. But imagine going on there and following this person for 3 or 4 years. What's it say? 3 hoaxers and a monkey. A monkey? Well, that's a good one, yeah. Okay, I'll be waiting for it. And you find out that that person, after a
Uh-oh.
while, he says, they're doing there's a
Uh-oh.
lot of suffering and
Stuff.
stuff. So you can donate
Losing
on my
everybody.
channel. Oh, you all froze up again, Joe. Your internet must be
keep
slow tonight
losing
or something,
everybody.
man. Look at that. Look at that.
Oh,
There's a
wait.
Sasquatch right there. Perfect look of a Sasquatch.
Put another quarter in
There
the
we go.
modem, Joe.
Yeah, something, man.
Yeah.
This
Is it a
is
monkey
like,
box?
yeah.
Wind it up there.
Rub
Rub your wrist on the carpet. Maybe you can get like a race car. Get some electrical zipping.
Yeah.
Oh, you totally crossed
Yeah.
your agenda.
But no, it's like, yeah, all of that has to do is like, perfectly what you said, Steve. Yeah, having troubles of unstable. Yeah, well, that's none of what they said is possible for me. Hang on a second. Oh, okay. Anyway, I think Leon is buffering a little bit there. But what you said, Steve, is exactly all I'm saying. Is you don't have to be like, how dare, or why would you believe something like that, or whatever. No, I mean, that's not what I'm talking about. I just want the knowledge, if these, but and the damn thing is I know these people with the narratives, they're not going to give me what I'm asking for because it's not there. There's no there.
Right.
It's just a bunch of made up stuff.
Yep.
Uh-oh.
Can't hear you, Joe. Oh, just heard it.
How about now?
Now, yeah, it's like no.
Your resolution is horrible on your screen.
Yeah, when you're behind your mic, we can hear you, it seems. When you're moving up just a second, as soon as you get to a certain point, you can't hear you. Try it.
Now can you hear me?
No.
Yes, no.
We can hear you, but
I
you're
have a
delayed.
bad
So that
connection.
means, you're
Yeah, it's my connection. I have no.
Thus it begins. The Chinese network taking over the internet.
Something to do with monkeys. I don't know.
Chessboard. Chessboard said I'm a real sport. Oh, no, not at all. That's why I brought the hat out. I said, I'll get him. I'll put my hat on.
Yeah, yours is cleaner looking. Mine's my dirty hat, my bush hat.
It says my connection is good, man. Am I still not being heard?
Oh, you're fine now.
Oh, we can? Okay. Yeah, but no, it's just, but I'm not going to get any of that from those people, man. I just know it. And that's why because at least with you, when you find something or when you state something, you define why what you're you explain why you're saying what you're saying, right? You explain it. How did I arrive at this? This is how I arrived at this. But you won't get any of that from the people out there with the narratives and those videos that you've been showing. You're not going to get it from them because there's no there. It's all just a bunch of stuff that they made up because somebody said it once and they said, that sounds good. And we don't have a better explanation. So we're just going to go with that.
It's very interesting how the people that really follow the hoaxers and some of the more sycophantal people is they tend, you like that, Leon? They tend to be, they tend to take on like this authority themselves. Like, for example, last night somebody popped into the I forget, Ricky Palmer. Actually, we kind of nicknamed him Harry Palmer afterwards. He comes in, Rosie Palmer. That's his sister. Yeah. He, the twins, Harry Palmer and Rosie. He comes into the chat and says, if you people are blind, if you think Todd Standing stuff is not real, and then out he goes. Right? Well, why not stick around for the conversation? because there's a certain percentage of those folks, they want validation so bad. They want their beliefs to be proved. So this is their conduit for validation. So how dare you question their conduit for validation? And that's the reason why they are so adamant and how they John Ayers.
Oh, right. You can't laugh like that and not share what was written. You just read something there.
I think that may have been it.
Yeah. Of course, Pat had a good one too about why your Wi-Fi is going up. China jamming.
China.
We're
yeah.
talking about balloons, so China's jamming the signal.
He said.
Yeah.
He's
What I'm saying.
China.
Don't
jabbing
say
balloon.
it. Don't say it.
It's a balloon. It's a balloon.
Sweaty
So yeah, and that's very true, Steve. I mean, and again, it goes back to what Leon has mentioned and what Thomas Steenberg has mentioned. You're starting to put a little. You're starting to poke into somebody's cherished belief, And I just, I wish.
And I'll say this
that
once,
we
I'll
could
say it
just
again.
get these people. I mean, if you're really that interested in Sasquatch, then you should be interested in what the reality of Sasquatch is. I mean, it's fine to be entertained by fantasy stories or movies of Sasquatch, fine. But you go into those knowing, well, this is a movie, there's none of this bullshit's real. But you should be interested in the reality, and you should start asking for the knowledge. How did you get to this knowledge? And when they see these hoaxers and these guys that are specifically, all it is narrative after narrative after narrative, but they're not throwing any meat and potatoes in the soup, man. And they see, and I'm just waiting for people to wise up and go, look, they're not showing me anything new. It's all the same narrative. I've just ask, just go for the reality of it, folks. Because the reality of a hominin that has managed to survive for thousands and thousands of years, when we thought that we were the only hominins to be left upon the planet, that is the real fantasticalness. That's the wonder of it all, really, is just that something like that has been able to survive. That would be the reality of it, not the Bigfoot zapped me. Bigfoot uses portals. That's how they get around. Bigfoot has 10 babies, but they only mate during lightning flashes, and they make the females go off by themselves and have babies, which actually chimpanzees do that. So that might not be
Bigfoot has centuries too.
Oh, that's another one, that they live for hundreds of years. I want to know how you found that out. How'd you find that out? That they lived to be 250 years
Sasquatch that comes that, well, you know what it is. It's, there's a certain gentleman who, and I don't want to speak poorly of the man. He's a very nice gentleman. But he has built his own little cult following up. And I'm not talking about the doctor. I'm talking about yet another gentleman who's now
Right.
in a retirement home. And, he for years said that, Sasquatch was his teacher. Teacher told him this, and teacher told him that. And now they some of these really strange offbeat conferences they have in certain areas will bring him in to talk about this. And people will be like,
hanging on every word. Yeah. I know who you're talking about too. Yeah.
And he's a nice guy.
Oh, absolutely. I'm sure he's a nice person. And I'm not trying to allude that some of these people personally might be a very nice person in other aspects, but when it comes to Bigfoot, they're feeding you a line of shit and they're doing it on purpose, but and I don't know, in his case, Steve, I mean, to be fair, I suppose he could absolutely believe every bit of that
Yep.
himself, but I don't have to because he's shown no evidence of such things to me that I can accept as actual genuine evidence.
When I put stuff out there, I don't want people to blindly follow me. That's, Leon asked, I like to teach
Right.
people. That's maybe why I walk through them. I also want to validate and show to people that what I'm doing step by step so they understand how I came to those conclusions. And if they want to ask questions, by all means, just do it in a logical, respective way. There are so many times that you'll get the trolling comments that'll be like, "Oh, you don't know what you're talking." One of the things was over that Ontario boater thing, and I said, "Hey, Thinker Thunker's wrong. I don't care what he's saying. The average height of a tree, you can't use that as a statistic to measure something because it could be off 5 feet, it could be off 10 feet, it could be off 15 feet, and that's going to throw your measurements away."
Right.
So the person goes in and tries to have an argument, but he predicates it with, "You don't know what you're talking about." Okay, you know what? I don't know what I'm talking about, then I don't need to listen to you, and you don't need to listen to me. So goodbye. Boom. And comment deleted. You're not gonna post on my channel anymore because you can't speak in a respectful manner. Now, if he had said, "Listen, the average height of these trees are this," he still can't see the science of it, that you need to go with variables of known things, because we don't know the size of this tree, but we can estimate the size of a Bigfoot by using different 10-foot, 9-foot, 8-foot, 7-foot levels. And from there, we can take that exact measurement, put it on the ground, and we can have a variable of what the distance between A to B is. And it took 9 steps. So now we can divide that variable by 9. And now we have the stride of the creature. He could not understand that. And that is, just science using a little bit of algebra, versus trying to say, well, I think that average height of that tree is 68 feet. So if that's the 68 feet, that's not going to work, because you're making an assumption.
Right.
Myself, we made several assumptions, but those assumptions were put on a chart to show the distances and the different things. We didn't say absolutely this thing is this tall, which is what Thinker Thunker did. So, that's, and I like to walk people through everything.
Well, if you wait too, like Thinker, I used to follow
That's
him
why I
the
don't.
beginning, and now he's like, after you get to know these guys, that's the biggest disappointment, because we've been at it for so long. We've met kind of the front guns, you could say, and it gets to be a little disappointing when you find out these people that you've been following for so long turned out to be either delusional, hoaxing, or you were gullible, and you took it all in, and it is part of the frustrating part of growing in any kind of belief you're in. But this one seems to be a little higher percentage wise than I find other systems as being this, for sure. So you can't blame people for not being able to move ahead, because they don't know what to move ahead to. And if people would stop posting all of these other videos that are just speculative, and we just held off, everyone hold off, no one put out another video till you got something that's clear. Matt, for Florida Bigfoot, we'll give you a big applause if you could do that. Out of all the cameras, everything's blurry, triple blurry, and then you have to come up with, well, those are green Sasquatches. Okay, those are green Sasquatches. Okay, I don't remember those being part of the species list, but okay, maybe there's a new one. I don't know. And that's the problem. I don't like harping on people, because after doing this for so long, and after my incident and how I think now about everything, and I just think how vulnerable everybody is. It doesn't matter where you're at. So you got to learn how to be rational again, to keep your sanity, because rational thinking keeps you solid. Science keeps you solid. You know what you know.
Yeah.
I don't know if I could trust science. Well, you drive a car, you're watching me on a technological thing. This was all created by science. Do I know how to put a computer together, especially down into the depths of it?
That's right.
No. But I trust that somebody must. And if it doesn't, it screws up and I can take it to somebody who knows what
Right.
screwed up, and that's,
Yeah.
like that thing
Right.
with Danielle's show the other day. I'm going to not go into the topic, but the neat thing about that show that she did was that it showed what we should all be doing just as Bigfoot researchers or investigators. Systematic, showing the data, showing the evidence. It also had people on the show that would be, we'd be categorized to be one of those people. Oh, the way those people on the show, because we get what we're seeing, and it's petty that this guy is going after stuff. People can check this information out, but we'll go after somebody like this, and it's just wrong. And all of us knew it was wrong. And whether we had a disheartening towards each other, that doesn't matter. This is what's important. This guy is hurting people, and that's what scammers do. That's what hoaxers do, and that's why I this temperamentalness, which is just on the Bigfoot scene, from what I can tell online, because I've been doing research about other systems now online to find out, are other systems like this, and they're not like this. I'll tell you, if other systems have hoaxers on them, they go after them.
Hey, Grasshopper made a comment in there that's pretty interesting about there are 100 Bigfoot podcasts. You see that one, Joe?
Oh,
put that up.
yeah.
So I want to make something clear, at least. I am not a Bigfoot podcast. That's not my sole purpose.
Right.
I have done what I've done before podcasting was even a thing. I've called out hoaxes. I've done research before there was even such a thing as a podcast. And I noticed that people show up to the medium has shifted. I mean, for a while it was, email groups. Then it went to forums. Then it went to chat groups, and then it went to blog talk radio, and then it went to, now it's the video element, whether you're on Spotify or YouTube or TikTok. And I've seen that over the years. The websites people paying attention to the website goes down because people find it easier to go to a medium such as YouTube. This is really no different than it was 25 years ago.
Got to put another quarter in.
Yeah, I want to say something. Sorry,
Right.
Steve.
But if I took that differently, I understand, Grass. I know you weren't reflecting about me specifically, but these people, if there wasn't YouTube, there would be fine. Let's just go back 20 years. If these people are around 20 years ago, this would be played out on forums and on websites and on email groups and stuff like that, or even Facebook. For a while, Facebook was huge too.
Yeah.
That's even starting to slide over more to the YouTube side.
Yeah.
I think the other reason why people view that everyone's like these channels that are, doing hoaxer shows and stuff like that. The problem with that is it's not that they're doing channels like that. Is there may be hundreds of channels like that, but they don't know how to do it correctly. So it doesn't come across as a hit piece. But to be fair, they don't know how to do that, but you can tell there's a shift. I mean, you look online on other videos, quality of videos, the Sasquatch. Look at the documentaries that have been coming out. Now, these people aren't necessarily professional people, but boy, the upgrade compared to where it was even 10 years ago or 7 years ago when I started being online is certainly gone up through the roof. I mean, there used to be Justin from Mountain Beast Mysteries, and now you got Alex, and you've got Hijack. I mean, Hijack's been around and stuff like that for a while and stuff like that. But you can tell there's this upping of the game that's happening, and that's what's going to happen. If I don't think there's anybody who's watching right now who haven't, when you were, depending how old you are, when we used to use TV and TV channels, they had stuff like 60 Minutes, and we had those science shows and stuff like that. And that is the way to present the evidence when you're looking at people like that. People are going to have their flying monkeys. It doesn't matter what group you're from. And those people, no matter what you say to them, they moved at a cognitive. See, it's okay to have cognitive bias. That's your ideas about things. But once your cognitive bias turns to cognitive dissonance, then it's about the truth. our troop, and we're right at all costs. Whereas before, you might be a tribe and I might be a tribe, and we might disagree, but we're not out to hammer each other to death. But if this tribe over here is putting poison into our water well, and we don't think that's a hoax because we're worried about offending them, we're talking about people who've been really hurt by a lot of these hoaxers. That's the ones that should be pushed out. There are some channels that are coming up here. I won't mention their names, but you guys mostly know their names. They're still evolving, but they're in the right track. Steve's been doing this for a long time. They don't know what Steve knows. They don't know how to present it. Like, another good person to listen to is Phil from Paranormal Breakdown. Listen to how he talks. He's got a levity to it. He can totally show you that's something garbage, but the way he presents it is in a palette where you can kind of.
Leon, I'll say straight up that this has been a learning curve for me, especially last couple of months. This is a new medium, and I started with the podcast. Now I'm expanding it, as everybody's noticed the last couple of months.
Yeah.
How can I put viral material out there and still come up with the truth, or at least ask the question, do you think this is Bigfoot?
Yeah.
At least we keep the conversation going. And somebody will say, no, that's not a Bigfoot. One of my followers say, no, that's not a Bigfoot. And I'll be right on there saying, I agree 100%. The whole idea is to keep the conversation moving forward, but in a realistic way, not just a drive-by shooting, basically going, oh, look at that, look at that, look at that, look at that.
Yeah.
So that's
it's
working. It's working.
Yeah. And one of the symptoms in a closed system is that everyone doesn't trust everybody. So they think a lot of times that, when you're going after this person, I really like that person. Well, yeah, I might really like that person, but maybe I need to hear what you really have to say, because it's going to save me a lot of heartache down the road, and I don't know that yet. And you actually do have my best interest. But that trust is one of the first things. And the reason why the trust gets eroded so quickly, especially in this system, is there's just too many dump trucks of garbage. And everyone knows this, really, subconsciously, because you can tell we haven't moved anything forward ahead. That means there's nothing been tangible. So what happens with the brain if it doesn't get something tangible? It starts looking for tangible. And then it has this auditory system, visual system, and auditory system that can produce in my mind what I think it is I'm actually looking for. And I get hooked on the faith belief of it, because it's in my imagination, which is where your religious center is kind of your spiritual center. They all are working together to try to make sense of this mystery that you're now curious, and whether it be knitting or not. But as a knitter, I can still scam you as a knitter. I can still scam you as a Bigfoot person. I'm definitely shifting as time moves forward, and you guys are going to start noticing that. There's something that's higher percentage-wise in the Bigfoot community than it is in the general population. That makes me curious, and it's not a positive thing. It's a gullibility. And when I talk about gullibility, I'm not saying that people are gullible as far as like pointing fingers. What I'm saying is, you're dealing with people in counseling or in therapy. If they're gullible, that's one of the first things you're looking for, because it tells you where they came out of, and that's not a good place usually. They won't even recognize it because they don't understand what you're talking about, because I'm not gullible.
Oh, we lost Steve.
I'm telling you, nobody wants to online. Those Japanese, Chinese. I tell you.
Wait. He's back. Yeah, well, the thing is, and this is, somebody mentioned, there was a comment in the chat made me think about this. When it comes to, and also what you said, Leon, about, just everybody put everything on hold, stop putting out this bullshit, because it's like, I'm tired of, you get it where you get the opposite, right? You either have somebody with a blob video or indistinct or something that's declaring that it is Bigfoot, but then you have the other ones that'll put up similar types and they'll go, is this Bigfoot? Well, I don't know if that's Bigfoot or not, and you don't either, apparently, because you're asking me if I think it's Bigfoot. I'm tired of those videos. I would much rather, if you want to post something, or you want to put, hey, I'm fine, and I know other people like it too, because some people just do like to watch. I would much rather see things like what Alex does when they go out on expeditions. Go out and find, they're not like everything is like, I would rather see somebody go out in an area where there's a history of sightings, There may be a history of activity possible or something like that. And then find nothing. And all I'm watching is what they've done to try to get some answers, as opposed to somebody posting something with, "Did you hear that? Did you hear that? That's a Bigfoot," and blowing smoke up my ass. You know, um, that's why I film what I film. Have I come up with any evidence of Bigfoot out in the thing? No, I haven't. I've come across things that may or may not be tracked sometimes, and I might show that if I think it's possible. Or if I find out, "Oh, I thought this was a track, but guess what, folks? It's not. And this is what it is." I will put out that kind of stuff, you know. Um, and so the thing about people going out and not finding any evidence, which was what the comment was, well, why, well, some people are stuck indoors. They can't get outdoors, and they like watching people like Alex. They like watching my stuff for some reason, even though I haven't shown any video of Bigfoot at all, whether clear, blob, or otherwise, because I haven't gotten that. And I'd rather watch that. I'd rather watch Steve go out in the Adirondacks, and maybe they go out there all night. Maybe something happens. Maybe something doesn't. Maybe something weird happens. Maybe a rock gets thrown through some trees, or, you know, maybe there's a sound that doesn't quite match anything else that we've heard in the woods. Maybe none of that happens, but I still like watching it because I like watching the process and explaining, okay, this is why we're here. This is what's been found in this area subsequently, um, etc. That's the type of stuff. That's the reality of it, not the, oh, is this Bigfoot? And I've gotten to the point to where I don't care if I say people's names that I don't find credible. Like, I think Steve has covered them at least once. Some guys that are out there, still out there online. They've got, and again, Leon's one of them. Oh, they must know what they're doing because they got a lot of these followers, and they're called outdoor online university or something like that. Two guys out there hoaxing a bunch of stuff, in my opinion, because the video that he showed of him chasing a Sasquatch, I believe, is just his buddy in a costume. Um, you know, I don't have time for that anymore. People like Steve again mentioned in his show, RMSO. I'm sorry, I got no time for that, man. They vet nothing.
Right.
They vet nothing. At the very least, people, if you've got something you think you want to put online, if you're a Bigfoot channel, vet it.
And you know what? That is an old process.
And when you vet it and you find out that it's bullshit, then don't put it out.
Joe, you're sounding a little temperamental.
Or
back off, man. Put
or if you put it out there, be neutral and ask people what they think. And that was my whole process. It's like, I know this is baloney, but I can't prove it, so let's ask the audience.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with doing that.
Right. If you're going to put it out, if you vet it and go, I don't think so, then okay, if you have to, I would say that if I vetted something and I found out that, nah, this is bullshit, I'm not putting it on anything. But if I were to decide that, then I would also include, okay, people, this is something somebody's been, just kind of like you and Nick, you're doing. This is something somebody's been saying. This is why I don't believe this, etc. I vetted this. This is not real. What do you think? Do you agree with me or not? If you don't, fine, whatever. Show me how my vetting was wrong. But
Now,
that's the thing. People don't vet. Some of these channels, they could be good channels if they would vet shit before they would even put it online. But all they end up doing is feeding into this narrative that, and pouring more of the Bigfoot Kool-Aid into the glass, man. And
like the latest RMSO one, before Kaiju Ninja pointed out to me that, hey, this comes from this documentary, because I hadn't seen the documentary. I already ran a name search on the person and realized that the only person by that name that had a wife with beginning with J. Turns out didn't live in that county, never lived in that county in Washington, and was 60 years old. And his wife, conversely, was 58 years old. And why would they have three little kids? Our three little kids. We put the trail cameras up for our three little kids. So I had pretty much tore down the story with, that kind of facts. Mike, who asked me that? Gary Johnson asked the question of me too and said, do I tree knock? And
Yeah, Steve, you tree knock, Steve?
I do occasionally.
Do you? In the
It's-
shower? Or?
Well,
In
I
the
do it.
shower.
No, but the neighbors are kind of mad at me for doing it. No, I'm just. But no, I will do it occasionally. Some days let's not do that for a while and see what happens, and then maybe do a couple, see what happens. That's
Again, and you know what? And that's fine, right? I personally, I don't really, the only time I've ever really done tree knocks myself, I don't initiate them. Never have. I've always waited till I've heard one, and then sometimes I'll be like, well, let me knock back and see if something knocks back to me, right? Not because I believe that it's Bigfoot out there doing it, because I don't. I don't believe that it's them. Could it be something Bigfoot is doing? Fine. Yeah, it could be something. It could be something. I have no evidence or proof that it is Bigfoot. It's a possibility. And I'm good with that. That's okay if you want to say, well, it's a possibility that Bigfoot's doing these tree knocks for whatever reason. I agree with you. It could be a possibility. Yep. Well, let's find
why
out.
would you
Let's find out if it
not
really is.
why would you not use all the tools at your disposal?
Right.
And by the way, tree knocks aren't something rather recent. Like some people think, well, I think it's just no, actually, I think I read an account of in the 1800s.
Yeah, it goes back a ways. Sure.
It goes back a way. Now, let's look at the parameters that a lot of times I won't do it for quite a while. For example, when we did the live podcast on Lincoln Mountain back in 2021, we got a tree knock, but we didn't answer it, nor did we provoke it. We didn't tree knock at all. We just got one that was just, and it wasn't cold enough that night. It was like 48, 50 degrees.
Right. So it wasn't like a tree pop.
It wasn't a thermal pop or, an expanding type of pop. And it was a solid,
like a baseball bat type thing.
Exactly.
I think we've all heard that. I've heard that before. Like a Louisville Slugger type thing, man. I've heard that before. Now, am I going to, again, I'm not saying it's Bigfoot. Possibility. Okay. But I'm
Don asked me a question too. So
who did?
Don Fuller.
Just Don. Let's see. What does it say? He says, Steve, why do you think there is an image of a Bigfoot in that Bachochin image? Was where that purported critter would be at least 30 foot in the air. Okay, handle it, Steve.
Okay, number one, no, it wouldn't be 30 foot in the air. It was if you, unless you're looking at something else that was on the, that wasn't 30 feet in the air. No, it wasn't. And do I think there is something there? I think the possibility's there. I'm kind of like 50-50 on it. I'm like, looks pretty good. That the follow-up video, it was not there, but that wasn't no 30 feet up. I would have appreciated if Jay had gone out there and actually put somebody to stand in that exact spot, but he didn't. Of course, Jay is really new at this, getting technical in this Bigfoot research stuff, I think. So I think the last, originally he was a paranormal investigator. Now he's falling into this Bigfoot thing. And I think part of that is, he just needs a little pushing in the right direction. But, he did a comparison video. I was kind of hoping he would have sent somebody in there. But hey, you know what? I still give him a good grade for effort and stuff like that. And he's not trying to fumble with us. But if you look at the overall shot, that's not 30 feet in the air.
Yeah.
I would have to take Jay's word for that. And I have no reason to think he would lie that was about maybe at most the 10-foot mark. So we'll see. But I'll see if I can get some follow-up pictures of that area too from, kind of putting that site. So I'll what I'll do is I'll tell Jay, because of those landmarks that look like alien heads on the tree, I'll have Jay go out and measure how tall they are. And then that'll give us some sort of answer as to what the actual height is. But I don't think it's 30 feet.
Yeah. Brent says something. He says, now this is one that's always not, well, bugged me is not the right phrase. It's always made me think a little harder about it, because Brent says, when it comes to the noises and knocks, says could be a chest pop or a mouth pop. Now I've heard that a lot of times. Now the thing is okay. There's one thing you say it could be, but why do we think that's what it could be? Can we name another? Now you could say, well, can you give me an example? What other primate would do something like that, or does do something like that? Are there any other primates that do any kind of mouth popping? Now, gorillas will slap their chest, right? But what we're hearing, does that sound like the same thing? You know what I'm saying? So
what I heard that night on the mountain, which was by far the clearest one I've ever heard, did not sound like, it sounded like a bat hitting up.
Right. Yeah, and I know exactly what you're talking about, because I've heard it, and I've heard other people say that they've heard that sound themselves, and I have to believe them, considering that I have heard it myself. And now I've had you say that you've heard the same thing. Now I take that with a grain of salt. Yep, there's something out there that did that. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's Bigfoot. I'd like to find out if it is. The thing about the mouth pop and the chest pop, I can't say that
we
Bigfoot
don't know.
doesn't slap their chest. Maybe they do. But we have to go further. But see, the way Brent's putting it is he's saying, well, it could be, but there's people out there that say it definitely is. That's what they're doing. It's not wood on wood. It's because of these reasons. And I understand their way of thinking. They're trying to think logically. They're like, well, it can't be this, because pick up a stick in the woods and hit it against a tree. What's going to happen? Half the time, or over half the time, it's just going to break without making any noise, because most of the shit you're going to pick up in there is too rotted to make a sound like a Louisville slugger, But they're stating it as a fact, and it's like, you just can't do that, man. I'm sorry. You can, but I'm not going to take you seriously. If you want to suppose things, fine. We can suppose all kinds of stuff, and I may agree with you. I may not agree with you. When you start saying that this is something that is definitely Bigfoot behavior, then I need to see how you attained that particular bit of information. I need the evidence that shows you that is the truth, right? And that's what this whole thing is about, man.
So what do you think the problem is?
The problem is that that was what
I mean, we know what the problem is of what you're defining it, which we all get. But what's the problem? What's the next move? What should we be doing?
Keep doing what we're doing, man, and trying to show people the objective way to look at these things and do further investigation instead of just like filling in the gaps, with this knowledge. You can't, oh, well, I don't, again, it's I don't really know what the answer is, so this must be the answer.
Media Palace had a good one there.
What's Eric saying?
New Bigfoot podcast dropping faster than Zasky's subscriber count. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. But no, I think, Leon, if those of us out there, me doing my bitching and complaining online like I do, Steve out there trying to educate and investigate, and Nikki trying to show you who is the ones that can be looked towards for actual information and who are the ones that are not. I think if we keep
Yeah,
doing
but
that, eventually,
the question would be, who are those people?
what, what,
Because you
like,
guys are narrators. You guys aren't investigators. You're not out on the field. Well, you are a bit more, Joe. Well, actually, no, you both are.
well, I haven't
But
been lately,
no, but I
but
mean, most people that we're talking about, well, what's the next step? What are we trying to, what would help people? Well, the helping people would be visually seeing that transpire on the channels. There's no way a lot of these other channels are going to do that. So
oh no, no, of course
we
not,
always go for the smaller beginning of the horse's neck,
of course not. And
or
I'm not even
because
sure how to, because I don't know, Leon. I weed away people from these channels that are just the all narrative, no fact, no, just entertainment thing. We're not going to weed people away from that. The people that are those, they're going to. That's the hill that they're going to die on. That's what they're going to choose. And I don't
Well,
think we're going to do more much for them. But people coming into it that are really getting interested into the actual investigation of it, maybe we can get a hold of those people first before they start into all of the Kool-Aid and all that, you know. Educate them on what sources do you want to go to actually find out any kind of information on Bigfoot. And I'm the one that always says we have very little information about Bigfoot.
yeah, so
We've got a lot of
that's
good guesses.
a problem.
We've
You
got a
can't
lot
go.
of good guesses. I will say that.
Yeah, well, it doesn't matter whether you have guesses or not. It's the same problem that everyone
Right.
else is having, and that's the next step. Steve, you wanted to say something there.
oh, that's okay.
No, but I don't really know what it was. You were the person who wanted to say something.
I
So,
lost
and
it.
I know the other thing about taking, yeah, we can. Those other people were like us. We took these other people, hook, line, and sinker, but there was just something that
Uh-huh.
wasn't right, and that's why we started the channels we're doing. So, that will wean off there. The problem is no one's doing that center part, even in the Bigfoot field. As far as we're outgunned, there are people out there, but really, you can put them on both your hands probably for the amount of people or channels compared to the ones that you could put on your hands, feet, your neighbor's hands and feet, that people follow and stuff like that. There's just way too many of the other stuff, and so a lot of my stuff that I'm doing is try to be educational, so that when you're out there, you're not just looking for a Bigfoot. You're trying to get comfortable in the bush, teach them things about the bush, and then throw Sasquatch in there as an extra kind of thing, and that does the filler part. Until we find a Sasquatch, you teach people how to be in the bush better. It's more likely they're going to figure out how they're going to navigate. I don't think people are as good as they think they are. I think they're overconfident. Don't have the basics. How do you even find one? Well, we wait. We wait. What do we wait for? What do we put all these pins on the wall of every Bigfoot thing we've ever heard from every source we can find? And we wait for the phone to ring or somebody to email us and we go investigate. Okay, well, do I do that for a deer? No, I've learned the knowledge of how to find a deer, a boot, like we talk about all the time. And it should be the same way with these things, even if it was human, if we were human, we're trying to track, Steve's trying to track somebody down. Well, he has.
I will say this, Leon, that a survivalist in the woods, being a human, thinks, and this is where hunters get it wrong. Like some people, the hunter skeptics, what they don't understand is that we're not dealing with a typical ungulate or bear or feline or anything like that. We're dealing with something that forward thinks and problem solves.
Yeah.
So, look at how long it took them to get Eric Robert Rudolph when he went out into the woods. And they sent thermal choppers up there, if not hundreds, if not 1,000 or more people in there to search, this small geographic area for him, and could not find him. And then eventually he turns up just by happenstance, by accident, dumpster diving for something to eat, and a cop driving by notices him. Yeah. So you understand that, not saying that a Sasquatch is smart as us, but it has those survival skills. And this is my belief, that their number one defense is evasion. Is like, okay, I know it's there, I'm going the other way. And that's because of its forward-thinking brain. Whereas, a bear might find something curious and go that way anyway, despite whatever the danger may be. Or, I know there's food over there on the other side of that road, and boom, they get clipped.
Yeah.
Whereas a Sasquatch is smart enough to go, look both ways before it crosses the road, perhaps.
I would hope.
I would hope so. Well, actually, I would hope not, because I've said for years that
Right.
that the way we'll solve this mystery is some 85-year-old grandmother is going to be driving around in a paneled station wagon going,
yeah.
What was
Hey,
that,
where's that
Gary?
lady that ran over me, man, in the parking lot?
You know what? Let's put
Bigfoot.
her on the team, Joe. We can send her out in the woods on an ATV. Maybe she'll run one over.
Yeah, maybe she'll run one over. Without seeing it, but no,
And I think that in a way you're right, Steve, and that's why it's important that you learn about other things in the bush. Like if you come across a structure, can you even tell the difference between if it was a Sasquatch? No, but we'll just say it is. Any structure, any shape, anything.
Hey, I have a question for Joe.
Yeah.
Did that woman go to the Stevie Wonder School of Driving?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Look, I'm not trying to like plug anybody's stuff or anything here, but look, for one example, I got to tell you, like, there's a book that somebody wrote that's called "What Would Sasquatch Do?" Okay,
Who wrote that?
and it was it was written by a certain person, Steve Kulls, and it's a very good hypothesis of what is a possible Bigfoot behavior patterns and etc. And just read the book. Now, I'm not saying that this is the gospel of everything, but Steve's got a really good hypothesis of how these things are probably operating, and it's based upon observation and precedence of other things that are actual, like other primates. So this is the type of stuff, man, that people really need to be looking into. Absolute great book. Um, that type of thing needs to be more of it. At least there's something there to chew on. It's not just like Steve writing a book going, Bigfoot does this, Bigfoot does that. I'm the expert. Bigfoot does all this. He explains to you what he thinks is going on and why he thinks it's going on, and it's very logical. Not too many people out there doing that. Kaiju made a comment here, which I really have to agree with. And he says the problem is we haven't been able to scientifically prove its existence, and thus this shit will continue until it is. Which he's probably correct on that, because there can be many of us. Steve has seen these things. I've seen one. Leon's seen one when he was a kid. Jeff's seen one. Jay's seen one. There've been a lot of people that have seen one, but all of us seeing them, that's not proof scientifically that they exist, and we haven't. That's the thing. Even Thomas Steenberg says we still are at step one, really, proving the existence of Sasquatch. Well, again, for me, you don't have to prove their existence to me. Nobody does. But you do have to prove all this stuff that you seem to know about Bigfoot.
Let me predicate something. Something that a lot of people don't have the advantage of. And the only reason why I have that advantage is perhaps
you're about
because
to say something I was going to bring up, so go ahead.
Perhaps because I was in a time that there was a lot of scientific people writing articles on Sasquatch, and having this collection not divulged on YouTube, but rather in print and on the web. And what I have here is in front of me is my Bigfoot Bible. And the section you see downward are all articles that were written since the 70s by scientists on the Bigfoot mystery. And it includes, like example, illustration of unnatural strict structure data collected in 2007. Much other stuff written by Meldrum, Bindernagel, John Napier, and it covers a wide variety of topics. And guess what? Because it was in print, it had to justify the statements.
Mhm.
You see, there's a different dichotomy when it comes to having something in print rather than watching it on YouTube. Because YouTube, if you think about it, for the most part, as we're finding out, people don't like long-winded videos. If I do a long video, I may do that maybe 3 times a month, but I keep them now under 10 minutes. Nobody is going to watch a 16-minute video. Podcast, yes. 16-minute video, no. They'll watch half of it and then, all right, off they go. People like those short videos. And what the problem is now with those shorts is that, and even some of the other videos is that you're so time constrained. Some of those validations for what people are saying are not getting out there, and they should. And that's what I'm attempting to do, at least on my channel, is when I put information out there to condense it to at least get the information out there. So, but I came from a time where you would read an article and there was justifications. I was in the era of blogging where you'd actually go to a blog site and read it, not go to a YouTube channel and just hear it and hear a very abbreviated version because people are worried about your viewer retention. So understand that as well.
Yeah. That wasn't what I was going to mention. What I was going to say that I thought you were alluding to was that you do actually, Steve, one of the things that you have as an advantage, I think, over some of these people, obviously, to me, is that you come from an investigative background.
Oh yeah.
So you have that advantage over, some of these other people that
I do.
absolutely don't, So you have a much easier way of looking at things objectively, logically, and coming to conclusions by gathering facts and data.
Well, I
Just so
think,
many people out there aren't doing that.
and I think the most important part that people have to realize, and this is a common denominator. If that's why I put out some of the what do you think videos, because I don't want to sound negative all the time. Because I'll give you a great example. And believe it or not, this is the first comment I've gotten in 3 months about this since we've taken this new approach. But I started busting some videos this week, and somebody came up and said, "Well, you're doing a discredit to the Bigfoot by your foolishness by putting this phony video out there and showing how it's fake." Basically,
How was that a discredit?
well, you see, people don't understand that,
Or a
especially the people
disservice,
that
I'm sorry.
want to believe. People want to believe that we need to push forward only the positive stuff about Bigfoot, not put out the negative or the hoaxes or any of that. We only need to put the positive out. Otherwise, we're doing the community a disservice. No, what we're trying to do is educate. We're trying to get people to understand the go-to people versus the not to go-to people, which sometimes are more important than the go-to people. Um, we're trying to show that we are fair-minded and don't think and are suckers for everything Bigfoot, saying, "Oh, that's a Bigfoot. Oh, that's a Bigfoot. Oh, that's a Bigfoot." Because then what do we sound like? We sound like people desperate to prove this real, and
Right.
we're not. We're here to prove this real in a real fashion with, investigative tactics and scientific tactics. Simple as
Yeah.
that. People don't understand as an investigator, and this is where my training and my thoughts as an investigator comes into this, is that I broke this down into everything as a case by case basis. So many people want to lump the whole thing into one. Like, you know, the 2008 body hoax. Oh, this is going to destroy the Bigfoot community. This whole thing, Bigfoot Black Friday, it's going to destroy. No, it's not. This is just one little microcosm that the time will pass and people will forget and we'll move on. And the people in the community have multiplied with the advent of social media. So, you know, it has nothing to do with that. Nothing is going to take this field down. People got to understand that this mystery will last forever if it's not solved.
I think it'll
Oh,
last forever.
absolutely.
It is.
Absolutely.
I
Yeah,
think
that will.
Absolutely.
yeah, there's two thoughts
I won't. Oh, go ahead,
sorry.
Leon. Go ahead.
Um,
No,
the
go ahead.
first thought is I think people forget that the people who are doing these revealing shows about people that shouldn't be trusted, that's a risky business for any site to do. Because what you're saying is, come after me with the wolves. If you think I've got something, that's what everyone's missing. They don't. I get it. The person who's going to do that, they don't just do it out of some flippant idea because they want to burn people. The scabs out there do that.
Yeah.
And those are usually the fakers that are being attacked. So they come back with this scabish behavior back. But the other people aren't doing that. And the other thing too is, look, you did that show of the Odyssey creature. As soon as I seen it, I remember because I watched it, I thought, geez, that looks familiar to me. The nice thing about these things being revealed by people like Steve and Nikki and Brent and all that kind of stuff is because it helps you. Okay, I get it. If I ever see that picture again online, I know now. It's done.
Yeah.
I've been educated. It's done. Now the problem is I know now it's done, but I'm going to run a Facebook page in about 5 years, and that same bloody picture is going to come from a video, and everyone there, oh, that's really great, that's great, and you know it's fake. It's going to be 5 years down the road. They're not going to know what you know, and that's why it's important to get educated across the board. Look at how big Steve's binder was.
Yeah.
Look at Nikki's, like the big binders. You know, she's been
I
collecting
know.
stuff
Yeah.
for years, and that's the idea of look at. There's got to be a shift that happens with the people who are doing investigating searching, which I think is there because we're kind of like that, but it's got to be more of an imprint in people who are just coming on that might be interested in researching. Some aren't. Some are just interested in the community or, you know, getting together and the idea of it. And it's more entertainment. It's not really
at the very top of my Bigfoot binder, and I created this. Oh, I think I created this back in 2008, 2007, somewhere in there, is that I created an actual investigation matrix.
Right.
You know, and I investigated an interview chart.
Yeah, you showed this on Nikki's show, I think, didn't you?
Right. Yep. And it is so important. It is so important to have.
Yeah, and I think that's what's missing
in place.
You know, we just are. It's like when you talk about these shorter videos, and this is the thing that people don't get it. We're in a big situation here, and it's just not a Bigfoot thing. But with TikTok coming out with 30-second videos or a minute-long videos, YouTube now going to short format, which are minutes, 30-minute videos and stuff, you're getting 300 times the amount of endorphins for every minute. Endorphins are used in your body to make you interested in something. So if you like fishing, you're getting endorphin shots. Like knitting, you're getting endorphin shots. Like cars, you're getting endorphin shots.
That's what feel good.
Makes you have a hobby. But if I'm getting my brain's being hijacked by endorphins because every 30 seconds I'm flicking to the next bloody thing on here, because that's what happens. After 90 minutes, you've got times 90 by 300 times. And that's how many endorphins. That's way over a load for the day, you know, unless you're doing something you're interested in. And the idea of it being short form is people are not going to be interested in the building blocks of the idea. And this is what you're starting to see. It's more how I feel because of the endorphins in the brain. It's not coming quick enough to the brain. I'm getting bored. After it. Look at, I do 2-hour long formats, you know, and then this is the other weird thing too, is educational environments that I've been in, speaking, I'll be in one tomorrow. I'll be talking for 2 hours. And all those people will have a capacity to not be bored by that. They have a building block structure in their neural net that helps them pay attention longer. Kids are going to have a real time. Your young kids right now are going to have a hard time as adults because they're going to want these endorphin shots. They're not just getting it from the phone; they get
there's a
online.
There's a couple of types of people that are out there. People that and we see these people in the chat room tonight, or the people that want this information will sit there and watch a 20-minute video to learn to get some thought process going, get some commentary going on it, and then you have the drive-bys that only want that minute video. So to appeal to that, we have to appeal to both of those crowds. That's
well, the problem, it's a two-headed sword, because the problem is you're also not you specifically, but it perpetuates the problem of the endorphin shots. So if we're trying to do education, which is a long process, and we're getting kids that are plugged into, and younger people getting plugged into quicker thinking, that's like young children thinking, high school thinking. What's that mean? It means that your brain turns to pictorial instead of video memory. So it's only splices, because you're only getting it for a minute a shot, 10 minutes a shot, 5 minutes a shot. Whereas video is an hour long. There's a lot of data in there you can put in there. And the problem culturally is interpretation of, this is what I think people don't want to do it unless you're really used to, and you have a tradition of being in the bush, or in an environment or a city or a town that really, likes pushes nature and all that kind of stuff. My generation, I don't know how many people, I talked to a PhD just yesterday about this. We asked about it, and he's going, I don't know where we're going. This is crazy. No, that's my generation style of people and stuff. And I'm thinking the same thing. I'm thinking, my God, what's coming over the horizon here? This can be pretty crazy stuff. Now, we've all had this when we were younger. We were looking up, and there was these old farts like me saying the same thing, and that before them, there was old farts looking up at them, or they were looking up at them, and so on and so on and so on. But what happens if we are the generation where something's really, really crazy is happening? I don't know, And I think that's why people are in almost that undefined anxiety in their system, just with these balloon things. Their brains are just, there's this anxiety levels. What's this all mean? I don't know what it means. Maybe they're balloons and they don't even understand the shut down weather balloons. I don't know. We won't know. But, I think it's going to be a bit of a challenge for us. For myself, I'm going to do my channel. I don't care if it's 1 hour or 2 hours. I don't care if you watch it or don't watch it. It's going to be educational. You're going to want to watch it because it's going to be educational. And I think that's what people are going to be starving for down the road. It's going to shift to the extreme, just the opposite of what it is now. Hopefully, if it doesn't, boy, we're in big trouble for sure. But hopefully people will get tired of it. Okay, that's nice. It's kind of overload, like burnout, too much booze, for the night. I got a headache. I just want to listen to something interesting, And I think that's going to be appealing to people, especially if you help them educate, like what we're trying to do, a different way of thinking, and helping them get that structure in their brain that they're needing for a different way of thinking instead of sharpening stuff. But I think it's totally cool that you're revealing stuff, because between you and Nikki and Brent, I don't really have to do that anymore. I kept getting caught in it all the time, but now I got 3 good channels that I just have to wait a day. Every 1 day, I get a new thing from you guys.
I'd hate to be Brent's inbox right now.
Well, gentlemen, look, we've been on for like 2 hours now, and I don't want to run over Jeff's show too much. Jeff's coming on with
that's right,
at 8 o'clock. So we do have one last thing, and this is a great lead in to what Leon just said. It was a great lead in for the next segment, of course, which is.
And now it is time for Satch Squatch's Wall of Fame.
That's fame.
This week's inductee to the Wall of Fame is Nikki Cologne of Harryman, Hoaxes, and Hoodwinks. Congrats, Nikki. There you go. Won't get you a cup of coffee at Starbucks or anything like that, but Nikki, you are now on Satch Squatch's Wall of Fame. That is for your tireless work and all the research that you are constantly doing and putting in to try to show people what to believe in or what to trust and what not. What's bullshit basically out there that keeps going around and around and around. So you do a wonderful job, and you deserve to be on that wall with everybody else that's already on there. So
Yeah.
congratulations to you, Nikki. I want to thank you, Leon, for popping in, on short notice. I always send Leon a link, and I'm like, well, if you want to jump on, he's my my co-host
Your puppet.
for here. Sometimes my puppet. And Steve, thank you, man, for taking out time to come on here. And there it is. It's just all flushed down the toilet now.
And just remember, Joe, when it comes to podcast, not podcasts, but comes to sites, Bigfoot sites out there, there is
weird.
There is
Poop everywhere. Poop.
That's right. Everywhere.
Yeah.
Poop.
You throw it on your face. I want to throw it on your face.
Yeah. So, but yeah, thank you, Steve, and I appreciate it, and hope to have you on many more times as we navigate our way through this. And,
love you guys in chat. Good to see you.
Yes, everybody in chat, thank you very much for joining us once again, for this Satch Squatch Random Live. And just remember, guys, there are people out there that don't give a duck, but I definitely do give a duck. So otherwise, don't sweat the petty stuff. Don't pet the sweaty stuff. And we will see you from the forest. Good night, everybody.
He's got the whole tribe talking. He's got the whole world walking. He's got the whole wide talking. He's got the whole world looking. He's got the hands in the air shaking. He's got the man at the glory time and he's down and all the time and down. And he barks much worse than he bites. He can dance a mean foot, ferocious appetite. He barks much worse than he bites. You have to know him is to love him, and to love him is to know him. Barks worse than he. You can reach your bottom of